Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, as we get set to go racing here, John, in the SARA Dreamer Series. SARA Dreamer Series Super Series. That's a mouthful if you're just new on the scene. Glad to have you on board. John Mushin alongside me, Ben Kilcrease and Aaron Grosskopf. Getting the picture that you see to you as we get set to go racing here, John. This is a fun track at Myrtle Beach. You got the curved front straightaways, the tight corners. It's going to be all about who hits the apex the best and who gets the runs down the straightaways tonight. It's going to be a fun 140 laps.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ben, the Dirty Myrtle, I love this place. I've got fond memories of it when I visited. I used to live out on the East Coast, and so I've been there in real life. Beautiful track. But I've got really fond memories of it from when it was in NASCAR racing, NASCAR 99, I think it was. One of the old Pappy series when they used to have the trucks and the Busch Grand National Series on here, man. Such an oddly shaped little track, but it's so much fun to get around.
That it is, and we're just a couple of minutes away from dropping the green flag here at Myrtle Beach Speedway, so let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. So here we go, John, just moments away, or actually, let's go ahead and run you through the starting lineup for tonight's events here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. Starting inside of row number 1, it'll be the driver of the number 6, Joe Schaefer Jr. To his outside, starting second. You're going to have to give us just a second. The grid's a little mixed up with the invert, but it'll be Kyle Souza rolling off outside.
Inside row 2, Matt Rolfe in the 5 car. Outside of him in the 51 will be Brian Matthews.
Starting inside in the 5th starting position to be the 112 of Devin Morgan. To his outside will be Cody Kelly in the 75.
Inside row 4, and I hope I don't slaughter this poor guy's last name, Ben, but it's Keith Medeiros in the 60 car. And to his outside in 8th will be Dallas Pataska.
Pataska set quick time earlier in this race. Brian Helm, or earlier in the night in qualifying rather. Brian Helm rolls off inside there in the 9th starting position. 10th going to go to last week's winner, Christian Challoner, and the rest of the starting field going to scroll across the bottom of your screen. And here we go, John. We are just now moments away from dropping the green flag. Last weekend, green from flag to flag. It turned into a fuel strategy race at Iowa Speedway. Tonight, I think we'll see a different story. 140 laps here. Matt Rolfe, the league administrator, has promised me we're not going to be worried about fuel tonight with the 140 laps, but nonetheless, that'll give these guys, John, the opportunity to really go out and race as hard as they can and as hard as they want without having to go into fuel conservation mode.
I hate fuel mileage races when I'm in them. Not so much when I'm watching them. I'm either or, but man, it's always been a thorn in my side, Ben, when I'm trying to drive a race car as fast as I can and pay attention to how fast I'm actually going so I can save gas. And I got a guy yelling in my ear, save gas, save gas. How the hell am I supposed to do that? I don't know.
And it was weird seeing a short track series having to come down to a fuel conservation race. It really boggled our minds, me and Mitch in the booth last week. But nonetheless, here we go, set to go racing. Race number 2 of the season in the SARA Dreamer Series, or Dreamer Racing Super Series, rather, is Joe Schaefer going to lead us to the green flag alongside Kyle Souza. We're set to go racing for 140 laps, 2 by 2. The green is out, and we're underway at Myrtle Beach.
And Schaefer gets out to a hell of a good start there. A good 4 or 5 car lanes going down to 1 and 2. Behind him in the outside line there, Souza's kind of moved up a little bit to the middle of the high line. I'm probably saying a lot tonight there, Ben. And behind him, Matt Rolfe is fighting off. It looks like the 51 of Ryan Matthews for 3rd.
They'll battle for that 3rd spot for the time being off of turn number 4 to the front straightaway. Give the first lap to Joe Schaefer Jr. And from the outside, the 7 of Kyle Souza able to hold off Matt Rolfe, at least for the time being. And now looks like Matthews in the 51 trying to make the pass on Rolfe on that outside. That would be for the 3rd position on the racetrack. They work to the front stretch, give Matthews the position at the line.
At the line, Matthews does take third spot away from the 5 down there on the inside line. It looks to me, Ben, like that outside line is going to be the place to go. Right there, though, Matthews gets into that wall, scrapes a little bit of that paint off that 51. Going to lighten that load up a little bit for him there as they come down through 3 and 4 back to the front stretch.
I got a feeling we'll see the sparks fly all night long here at Myrtle Beach as the battle going to go on for fourth behind these guys. John, no tires allowed in this race, so you're starting on the same set of tires you're going to finish on. So not only do you have to worry about pacing yourself if you're out in front of this field, you have to pace yourself throughout the whole race to make sure you have enough tire to do anything with at the finish of this thing.
I was just going to comment on that, Ben. We got a guy out here, Joe Schaefer, who's just leaving these guys behind, but you got to wonder what's that doing to his tires. He's got to make these things last another 135 laps, and I don't know if he'll be able to do it at the pace he's setting right now.
We'll just have to wait and see. Most guys are good pushing the car, early in the run, John, and are better once the tires fall off. Other guys like to save their stuff and have a little bit of tire left in the end. We'll just see how everything shapes out over the course of this race as we are just in the early stages of it, not even a tenth of the way through, as that battle ongoing for second. Matthews and Souza, they battle side by side, tight down the back straightaway here. Myrtle Beach, tight down in 3 and 4, but a great battle ongoing. And then behind them in the 112, you have Devin Morgan, who is just all over their rear bumpers as well. And then don't look now, but Keith Medeiros there started 7th up to 5th, and now he's going to try the top side in 1 and 2. No grip up there, so he swings back down to the low side for the time being. They go single file in that battle, and now it's back to double file racing off turn number 4. Great battles, but Ryan Matthews finally able to get by Souza for second.
Ryan Matthews was very patient down there inside line and made that inside work, Ben. It's kind of a surprise. We've seen guys pretty strong on the outside so far. Granted, it's very early in this race. I'm sure once we get some grip down, some rubber down, the grip line's going to change there. But in the meantime, it looks like it's going to be single file here for the top 10. And I think the first fight we got's back there in about 10th place, it looks like, 8th or 9th.
Yep, some great battling all throughout the field. You see Challoner there just in front of that side-by-side battle. Challoner, our winner last week at Iowa Speedway. Then you have Brian Helm in the 26 with a little bit of internet connection issues there. He dropped out for a brief moment. Hopefully he can get that all sorted out as these battles side-by-side with the 66 there of David Krikorian. And Krikorian going to take that position off of turn number 2 to the back straightaway. That puts Helm under pressure from the 37 of Tim Bills.
In the meantime, back up here in third spot, it looks like Susan, that 7's got his hands full down the inside line with the 112 of Devin Morgan. Devin saw the 51 of Ryan Matthews make that inside line work for that pass, and he's trying it now, but he's not making it work as good as Matthews did. In the meantime, the 60's going to poke his nose in there. That's Keith Medeiros. He looked like he thought about taking a 3 wide for a second there, Ben, but I don't think we can see a whole lot of 3 wide racing here at Myrtle Beach.
At least not early in the race. Maybe once it comes down, if we get a late restart in this thing, we could see some 3 wide action. Trouble behind them. That'll put us into the inside wall. Goes Cody Kelly. We stay green for the time being and out of caution waves, putting us under the first 1-3 Designs caution of the night here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. And that's just the product of some close racing there, John, as we get the replay pulled up there on a 75 machine. And just off of turn number 2, looks like it looks like he kind of came down on a 23 to be honest there, and puts himself around. That's Dallas Protaska, the early pole winner of the night. Got shuffled back in the invert, but nonetheless, contact with Protaska and Kelly put us under caution for the first time tonight in the 1-3 Designs caution period.
I tell you what, Kelly's going to have to watch his temperatures now after that. He's got a lot of nose damage there, it looks like, Ben, and as we both found out ourselves the hard way, when you get nose damage on these super lates, you tend to heat up a little bit.
Still early in the race. If I was Kelly, come down, get that damage fixed under this first caution period, as we're just now a tenth of the way through with this 140 lap feature here tonight. A pretty exciting race in there early on, John, as we had a lot of side-by-side racing. It's been, though, Joe Schaefer Jr. out in front of this field for most of the race, or for all of the race, really. He's led since the drop of the green flag, has Schaefer, and really looking stout early on. Just about the tire wear. We're going to have to keep an eye on him, see if he is going to be able to survive later in the run, if he's just using up his stuff early on here.
That's what I was going to touch on. And, I was just looking at something here, but it looks like Matthews has some substantial left front damage there, Ben. I don't know if somebody got into him or not, but that might affect the toe on that car and make it a little tighter on him later on.
I was just looking at it myself, John, and that wall down in 3 and 4, you really cut it close as a driver down there on that end of the speedway, and I just wonder if he hasn't made contact with the inside of, or with the inside retaining wall. Lights out though on the iRacing.com Ford Mustang pace car, and the first 1-3 Designs caution period getting set to come to a close as we get set to crank them back up here, John, and set them loose for just over 120 laps, 123 laps to go here at the line. It's Joe Schaefer Jr. and now Ryan Matthews sharing the front row. They've got them racked, they've got them stacked, and we're set to go as the flagman throws the laundry back out in the air. We're back underway.
Laundry. The 51 car, Matthews spun his tires, and that starts. We're going to bottle up that whole outside line there. That's going to give the 7 of Kyle Souza a chance to take that second spot. But here comes Matthews again down into 3. Looked at taking a look on the inside there. I don't know if he's going to make it. Yep, there he goes. He's going to shoot down on the inside and try and take that spot away from Souza on the outside. Oh,
another caution on a racetrack, and this one down in 3 and 4 involving Matthew Eddy in the number 88, second 1-3 Designs caution period of the night, and it happened up in front of Eddy. It was the 32 going around, and the 88 just kind of nowhere to go but into him and then into the wall, putting us under the second 1-3 Designs caution of the night.
Yeah, that actually started up there with the 26 also. He got spun, it looks like. They were almost 3 wide there, Ben, it looks like, in 1 and 2. He spun, and it was kind of like a chain reaction and just got everybody all bottled up there.
Wow, so, yeah, big moment there, John. We missed it. We were watching the front of the field there.
Yeah.
The 03 of Canfield had some problems back there, so he'll be mired at the tail end of this thing. Some drama happening early on here in the second caution of the night. Second 1-3 Designs caution period we are serving right now. Joe Schaefer Jr., though, out in front of this thing, John, he's liking these cautions. Gives him a couple of laps to cool the tires down and gives him a couple more laps out in front of this field.
Absolutely, and definitely racing the full fuel questions, so we don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I'm just like you. I'm wondering what kind of damage he did to those tires early on with that, that pace he was setting. He was setting some pretty fast laps for a while there. I mean, gosh, they're doing laps just a tick or two over 18 seconds there, Ben. So this is going to go by quick. But when you're running that hard that long, it's got to tear those tires up.
Absolutely. Lights still on atop the iRacing.com Ford Mustang pace car, so we'll go a couple more laps, or at least one more lap here in the 1-3 Designs caution period. Let's give a big shout out to all the sponsors that support the Sim Auto Racing Association. You see them on your screen there. Sim Marketing Solutions, B Trucking, JDR Graphics, and many more. Big thanks to everybody supporting SARA. Under caution for the second time here. So glad you've tuned in on the Sim Racing Network. Tonight's broadcast is part of SRN's Triple Threat Streaming. You can find us live on Facebook, our YouTube, and our Twitch. Twitch is the Sim Racing Network _ all the others, the Sim Racing Network. You can put behind the URL and find us across all platforms. As we get doubled up and set for the restart here, John, set to go back to racing with now under 120 laps to go. 23 in the books of 140. It'll be Joe Schaefer Jr., Kyle Souza, Ryan Matthews, Devin Morgan, Keith Medeiros. That's the top 5 as we get set for the second restart of the night. They stack them up 2 by 2 by 2. The green flag back out in the air. We're back underway.
And I tell you what, Schaefer gets off to a good start this time. Not quite the 5-car length lead he had at the beginning of the race, but look at this. We got great battle behind him for second, third, and fourth, all kind of tied up right there. He's loving looking at this in the mirrors there, Ben, seeing these guys fighting like that. That's going to give him a chance to stretch his lead out a little bit.
Absolutely, and Ryan Matthews in the 51. He has had to deal with Kyle Souza, it seems like, the whole race, and he's going to get by him down into turn number 1, and Medeiros, a big move there, trying to go from 5th on the restart up to 3rd. He goes side by side for the final podium position down into 3. 60 Medeiros, 7 Souza. They race side by side off 4.
A little bit of contact between the 7 and the 60. And Souza got up into just a little bit. They both keep it straight and give that spot to the 60 car of Keith Medeiros. In the meantime, Souza's got his hands full. Looked like the 23 of Dallas Pataska wanted to get up in there and mix it up with him there, Ben, but it looks like Dallas backed off a little bit trying to gather a different line there, it looks like.
Pataska has speed. He's shown it in qualifying. Qualified about a half a tenth faster than the rest of the field, and he's slowly but surely working his way through the field. Started 8th, he's up to 6th, and gets a bumper there from the 78 of last week's winner, Challenger, down into turn 3 as he kind of checked up and let the 112 of Morgan have the position, at least for now. Everybody trying to just get into a good riding mode, John, here. Not really trying to push the issue early on. These guys up front, maybe mid-pack or so, is where you'll see all the racing happening and everybody trying to, kind of hustle and bustle for position.
Well, Ben, I'm not a short track guy, super late model guy, but if there's one thing I've learned in the few races that I have run, it's all about rhythm, especially at these tracks like Myrtle Beach. Just get into a really good rhythm. Hope it goes green long enough to where you get that rhythm in there and help conserve your tires actually by doing that.
Absolutely, and this is a big rhythm track, and we talk about rhythm tracks, and the first driver to find their rhythm, John, and the first driver to stick with that rhythm without breaking the rhythm is really the driver that's going to be almost the fastest. Open setups here in SARA, so a lot of setup dependency, on setups as well, but you can have the best setup in the world, and if you don't have a good rhythm, you're not going to be fast.
Absolutely, and it's all about the rhythm. And I tell you what, it looks like Schaefer's got a good rhythm right now. He has stretched his lead out to a little over half a second there, Ben. Make that 7/10 now, and he's actually gaining ground on these guys behind, so it looks like he's got his rhythm down, and that clean air has to be helping him. The fact that he can see where he's going and see his braking points, his gas points, his throttle points, that's got to be a big help as well.
Absolutely. Good battle going on for 4th. Morgan side by side with Souza. That's the first battle on the racetrack, and down in the turn number 1, you'll see the 112 almost bounce off those rumble strips down on the bottom side of the racetrack. John, if you hit those bumps down there, that's going to send your car for a heck of a loop, and usually up and into the guy on the outside of you if you're side by side.
Yeah, so they'll do some damage too. And I tell you what, we just had a change for second place there. I didn't see exactly what happened. I saw the 60 get around the 51. I don't know if the 51 got loose or just maybe he's falling off or taking it easy on his tires or whatnot. But we'll move Keith Medeiros in that 60 car up to second place after starting 7th. So yeah, he's having a pretty good little run there, Ben.
Great run for Medeiros, up 5 positions for the driver in the 60, all the way up to the runner-up spot and looking to chase down Joe Schaefer Jr. in the 6th. We work lap 35 of 140, closing in on the 100 lap to go mark here at Myrtle Speedway as the laps are ticking off. Still early on, though, in this race, John, and still, I can guarantee, a lot of tire conservation going on. Looks like these guys are racing hard from about 7th, 8th, 9th on back, but really and truly, these are some of the best guys in the business when it comes to tire savings, and they're probably just back there, just riding. They're comfortable where they're at. They're fine at the pace they have right now, so they're just, comfortably riding in line, almost like Daytona when you get in the draft there in the early part of the race, single file. A little bit boring for the fans watching, but nonetheless, as we go under the yellow again, that'll be for the 3rd time tonight as we look to see where it comes from. Looks like it may be the 39 machine going for a loop. And he's already headed pit side as Bill Martin not having the night that he wanted, putting us under the caution, or under the 1-3 Designs caution period for the first time, and some close calls there as you watch the replay. But nonetheless, Martin in the pits.
That was tight, Ben. I mean, that was,
yeah.
Whoo, you couldn't have slid a piece of paper through a couple of those guys that whizzed by in there. And as a driver, that's never something you want to do, is look out your side window or look out your front window and seeing cars coming at you.
Absolutely. And, some fans may say, well, they could have got on the brakes a little bit early on, but turning about 17-second laps here at Myrtle Beach Speedway, this is not a slow racetrack by any means. So really and truly, John, by the time you see what's going on as a driver, you don't want to slam on the brakes, because if you have too much rear brake in the car or too much front brake in the car, depending on where your brakes are set, it could make the situation worse. So at that time, it's almost best to just kind of, judge where you're going to go and make your decision based off of that. And you have to do that all in about a tenth of a second too, by the way.
And it also depends on where at on the track you're at, because your car is really light coming off of these turns sometimes. And if you get on the binders too hard, you're going for a ride. And I'm just really impressed by these guys, Ben. All of them managed to miss him. Nobody else got involved in that. So that's really awesomely spectacular driving, I like to call it.
Absolutely. Nonetheless, though, caution out for the third time as we're... well, we turned the lights off pretty quick that time here in the 1-3 Designs caution period as it gets set to come to a close. It's still Joe Schaefer out in front of this field, and he has led since the drop of the green flag. And Keith Medeiros may have a challenge for him, though, on this restart in that 60. That's the front row. Second row is going to be Ryan Matthews and Kyle Souza. Third row, Devin Morgan and the pole sitter, Dallas Pataska. And then you have last week's winner, Christian Challoner, there in seventh. They've got them racked and stacked 2 by 2, and we're back underway. Little mind games on the restart, but a good restart nonetheless for Joe Schaefer Jr. as he leads down into turn number 1. The battle will be for second.
Schaefer Jr.'s got that lead, but look at that fight for second out there. The car number 60 of Medeiros is just really making a good move on the outside, pulling through there, and looks like the 51's struggling down that inside line, so he's going to drop back to third, maybe even fourth if Souza has anything to say about it there.
Absolutely, as Souza gets stuck on the outside line, can't really get down as he's got Morgan to the inside of him now. That'd be the battle for the 4th spot. Heading down into 3, there's some contact. Souza sideways, saves it for the time being, and we scramble him down the front straightaway. I called it a Waffle House special last couple nights ago, and looks like the same there. 2 scrambled eggs, and there were about 3 or 4 scrambled eggs, though, on the front stretch into one there. They were all over the racetrack. Nonetheless, a great save by that 7 machine, and that keeps us green after some great driving, not only from the 7, but everybody to avoid him. And there goes the 23 sideways. Another great save, although it's going to stack the field up behind, and they crash. Yeah, caution out again for the 4th time. The 75 of Cody Kelly, one of those drivers involved in the big checkup and the big mess off of turn number 2 there.
That's an accordion that busted its springs right there.
Absolutely. They got away with it one time, but that bunched them up again, and for the second time, they're not so lucky. The 2 drivers that got into it up ahead were lucky. Just not everybody checking up behind. So putting us under caution for the 4th time tonight in the 1-3 Designs caution period. As my oh my, John, this one's really taking a wild turn here as we ease up on the halfway point. Still a good little distance away from it, but nonetheless, though, this first part of the race is really getting exciting. It's really helping those guys out in front save as much tire as possible. Obviously not going to be using up much tire under caution. 4 cautions so far in this race. Joe Schaefer Jr., Keith Medeiros, Ryan Matthews. That's the top 3.
Yeah, Schaefer's got to be loving this. Been caution laps, cooling those tires down, extending the grip on them a little bit for him. And every single caution lap, he's going to love seeing that. And then, he's pretty damn good on restarts, too, so that's not bothering him at all.
Absolutely. As we get set for another one of those restarts, we'll see how good he is on that one, if he can back up his restart resume from earlier in this race. But before we do that, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. Welcome back to Myrtle Beach Speedway. So glad you've tuned in live right here on the Sim Racing Network. Tonight's broadcast is part of SRN's Triple Threat streaming live to our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And we encourage you, wherever you're tuned in, no matter what platform, to give the video a like and follow us on whatever platform you're watching. Be sure to turn on notifications so you can be notified whenever we go live. Be sure to get social with us right here at the Sim Racing Network. Follow us on Facebook by searching the Sim Racing Network and following us on Twitter at the SRN_. Getting set to turn the lights off, top the iRacing.com Ford Mustang pace car, this time by set for another restart. And John, that last one was a little bit wild. If you're in the mind of these drivers right now, what are you saying if you're a crew chief or a spotter? Does you maybe calm down? Let's get a couple more laps under our belt before we go wild, or are you saying, push and try and get as much position as possible because you never know when the next caution's going to fall?
Don't spin the tires. That's what I'm saying, man. But yeah, I don't know. It's a twofold thing here, and it's a double-edged sword. We don't have a lot of laps left because these guys tick them off pretty quick. So those guys in the back got to get aggressive. But here we go.
Here we go as we restart out of the 1-3 Designs caution period, and Keith Medeiros, John, gets one of the best restarts from that second place all night long, and he gets loose down the back straightaway. Almost some contact there. Close calls again as Medeiros had to really chase that car off of turn 2.
You were not exaggerating, Ben, when you called some of these guys the best in the business as far as short track racing goes. I don't know how they didn't just completely wipe out the whole field right there, but they didn't. They saved it. And, he hangs on to his car, Medeiros does, but you couldn't get any more loose from that without wrecking it.
Close calls indeed as the field starts to get singled out up front. The first battle you have to look for would be for that 4th position. Matthews on the outside. I'm sorry, that's Morgan on the outside and Challoner on the inside there. Last week's winner at Iowa. Still some contact about mid-pack there, but this battle for 4th really heating up.
I can't tell if he hit the wall back there or if he just hit the bumps that are right next to the wall, but that 112, it looked like his whole rear end jumped off the ground by about a foot. Meantime, he does pull it off and get that spot away from the, is it the 78? I can't see with that all-black car. Yeah, the 78 of Challoner. And now we got a 2-wide battle behind those guys with, looks like a 66 of Krikorian. And who is that? 58? No, 80.
Yeah, the 80 of Jacob Harberts, who started 14th and is up to 7th. So a great climb to the field so far for that 80 machine. You see Tim Bills now on the inside, and that 37 looking to make up some time. Some close calls there on the front stretch with your pole sitter, Dallas Pataska, who kind of got mired back in the middle of this field with some contact just a couple laps ago. He was almost up and into the top 5, and now he's got to do all that work again, John.
Well, he's got a little bit of time left to do it. We're just at lap 56, so we're not even halfway yet. But he's got to be. Oh, look at that little contact between the 37 and the 80. Something the 80 washed up the track right there, and he's going to give it a shot to Pataska down the inside to take that spot away. In the meantime, behind them, we have another 2x2 fight there. Some beautiful cars, but it's just so hard to tell those numbers. It looks like the 77 on the inside, and I really can't see the outside there, Ben.
So 77 to Doucette and the 13 of Samuel Roush. Roush, another great run through the field from 26th up to inside the top 10 for the driver of that number 13, as he is right in a hornet's nest, though, off of turn 4. Some great side-by-side racing, but some close calls in this little group nonetheless, as they are really duking it out as we close in on the halfway point, just 11 laps away from halfway now.
These guys are really making it look easy, Ben, but this is some of the hardest racing you're going to see and do, is racing in a short track side by side with each other without bouncing off of each other, and they are making it look so easy right now. It's a great 2x2 fight going on with these 4 cars. You got the 23 down there on the inside. That's Dallas Pataska. You got the 13.
Look out,
and
there he goes.
Going around.
80 going to spin down into turn 3. Look out. Everybody going to avoid him somehow. He missed the pit road attenuator, luckily, and missed the and everybody else missed him that came in behind as well. Close call down in 3 and 4. Jacob Harberts, though, putting us under caution after some contact with Pataska on the back straightaway.
Man, that couldn't have been any closer with that retaining wall, and the 03 car came through there like that. But that's just short track racing, folks, at its finest right there.
Get the replay pulled up and see what puts us under 1-3 Designs caution period for the 5th time tonight. The 80 machine going around off the bumper of the 23. Some close calls down into 3. Close call with the 80 and the attenuator there. But man, oh man, just some great driving from everybody behind to avoid. Nonetheless, though, under caution again here, John, as we're closing in on that halfway point. I don't know who it's really benefiting at this point, if it's benefiting Joe Schaefer Jr. or maybe Keith Medeiros there in second. Medeiros was all over the bumper of the 6, about a 2/10 or so off the bumper of the 6 on that run. I don't know if Medeiros is still savoring or if he's trying to, pick up the pace and maybe take that lead here heading into the halfway stage of this race.
Well, I'm right with you. I'm not real sure what his game is, but I can tell you this. I bet we're going to see one wild restart out of him because he saw it last time on the last restart. He can keep up with Schaefer. So, I'm guessing that he's he's going to have something in store for Schaefer on this restart. We might see him lag back just a little bit, maybe try and time the jump on the start. We'll see how it goes.
Absolutely, as we get set to restart you here, as Pataska going to get an EOL penalty and get sent to the rear for the contact there, putting him all the way at the tail end of the longest line, and that's not what the pole sitter wanted to see happen. 25 cars still on the lead lap here at Myrtle Beach in race number 2. So glad you've tuned in. You're watching the Dreamer Racing Super Series live right here on the Sim Racing Network. And John, as we get set for this restart, let's go quiet up here in the booth for a couple of laps and give the fans at home a good old turn it up portion on the Sim Racing Network. Turn those speakers up and feel the power of the super late models here at SARA. And a caution comes out just as we finish up our turn it up portion right here on the Sim Racing Network. The 32 going to go around after some contact with the 26. He chased it, and just finally ran out of room, putting us under the 1-3 Designs caution period for the 6th time tonight here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. And boy, he almost had that car under him, and he just couldn't quite get caught up with the steering there, John.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And like you said, he chased it as long as he could there, and then when it finally hooked up, it just went right into the outside wall. Lucky for him that it hit nose on. Also lucky for him, this is just a sim and not real life, because the way he slapped that retainer wall, that driver's side, he may not have been walking away from that.
Yeah, would have rung his bell, as Darrell Waltrip
for sure
would say, as under caution, 1-3 Designs caution period for the 6th time here tonight at Myrtle Beach Speedway. Let's take a quick commercial break right here on the Sim Racing Network. When we return, it'll be the restart and halfway here in the Dreamer Racing Super Series.
All right, Watson, let's analyze the chemicals in this cigarette smoke. Cadmium?
Check.
Formaldehyde?
Check.
Arsenic?
Sir, isn't arsenic what they used in rat poison?
Yeah, isn't arsenic what they used in rat poison?
Oh, what was I thinking, sir? It's not like we're gonna smoke them.
Neither will the rats.
Tobacco is no joke. Cigarette smoke has over 7,000 chemicals. Learn more at thefactsnow.com.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6
Welcome back. Sent for the restart at the line. Half down, half to go. And Joe Schaefer Jr. back on the gas. Another great restart for the 6 as they race down into turn number 1. But here comes the 60 of Medeiros all over. We're going to name those things short track turtles, John. We talked about it under the break there down in turn number 1 and 2. He was all over them there. Good battle for that 3rd spot between Matthews and Morgan. They race side by side down the front stretch.
What's impressive is they don't seem to bother the 60 car of Medeiros when he hits them. It seems like I can speed him up, but everybody else we've seen has damage from those things. I mean, the 51, we're pretty sure, we're not, positive, but that's what he got his left side damage from. But he's making it work, Madero says. I mean, I think he's got something for Schaefer here, Ben, to be completely honest with you. He's catching him.
Absolutely, as we're in the final stage of this race now.
And it looks to me like we got a great fight going on back here for third as well. Oh, another caution on track.
That will be the 7th 1-3 Designs caution period of the night as we slow down yet again here at the Myrtle Beach Speedway as we try and get a number on the incident for that one. Looks like the 03 of Canfield and the 17 involved in the incident there, and that was just another sort of a checkup incident gone wrong there, John, as the accordion effect, you call it the broke spring on the accordion, and that's what happened right there.
Yeah, it looks actually like the 5 of Matt Rolfe got down on the turtles there, loosened him up, and the big checkup behind him is what caused that collision between the 03 and the 17, which is unfortunate. But we were just talking about those things don't give, Ben. They're like concrete slabs down there in that first turn, and you play with them too much and you hit them just right, they're going to do that to you.
Absolutely. And let's talk about the first 2 races of the season. This one far from over, John, but so far a completely different feel as the season opener at Iowa. Iowa went from green all the way to checkered with no cautions. We've had now 7 in this race. As a driver, how big of a change is, and how much do you have to mentally prepare for something like that, John, heading into a race like this? You think that this one may go green at least for a good portion, and then we come out here and we only get these short stints. It really is not benefiting those guys that like to save their stuff and make the setups for the long run, but those with the setups for the short run right now, they're really shining.
Well, it also goes back to what we were touching on earlier, Ben, the rhythm. It's very hard to get into a rhythm when you're slowing down the caution speed every 10 laps, and like you said, a lot of these guys probably built their setups around a long run. But let's also be honest, if you're smart and you know the history here at Myrtle Beach, there aren't a whole lot of long runs at Myrtle Beach.
Absolutely. It's one of those close quarter, get up on the wheel, elbows up short tracks that we've come to know and love, and just some close calls, really, and the stack up through the field, John, is what's causing these incidents. It's not the initial incident itself. It's the checkup and the accordion effect that's really putting everybody at stake and at jeopardy of being involved in these cautions. Probably four of the 7 cautions so far tonight, John, have come from stuff that's happened behind the initial incident.
Absolutely, and we've seen it time and again at short tracks. This is very comparable, Ben, to like a place like Bristol, where the wreck could literally happen behind you, one car behind you, but you could still get caught up as you come back around. But our lights are off on our pace car, Ben, and here we go back to green, buddy.
Here we go, the 7th 1-3 Designs caution period of the night coming to a close. We're getting set to put the green back out in the air, and a great restart for the 51 of Matthews there. And he may have the second position as they race down into turn number 1 and 2. Madero is going to try and fight back on the outside. To no avail, though. Matthews up to the runner-up spot.
It was a combination of a great restart by the 51 of Matthews, but also kind of a wheel spin there on the behalf of the 60 car Maderos. But I'll tell you what, Schaefer doesn't care who did what. He's going to take this and run with the lead on it.
Good battle for the 4th spot as they go side by side with Morgan and last week's winner, Challoner. They're door-to-door racing down into 3 and 4. Behind them, some more side-by-side battling between Krikorian and Samuel Rouse there in the 13 and 66. Some great racing inside the top 5. There is Challoner and Morgan cut it close in 1 and 2 as Challoner trying to get up and into that 4th position. Morgan, though, trying to fend him off. Some great racing here as we close in on the 60 lap, or under now 60 laps to go in this one.
Morgan has really put up a hell of a fight out there on that outside line. I'll give him that. He refuses to let go of that spot, which is what you want to see, really. But I tell you what, he's got to be wearing those tires now, both of them out there, the 13 and him. I think the 13 is talking to me the same boat. Oh, look at that. Wow. The 78 just said, okay, you go ahead and go there, buddy.
Absolutely, and some more close calls there as Challoner maybe had a handful off of turn number 4, had to regroup and gets back into the line. He'll sit 5th right now. Morgan up to 4th, though. He started 5th in this race, kind of fell back almost outside of the top 10 at one point, and is back up into the 4th position. Up front, you're not missing too much. It's still Joe Schaefer Jr. He has led all 84 laps so far here tonight. In second sits Ryan Matthews, and third is Keith Medeiros. Medeiros restarted second and has restarted second over the past couple of restarts, but Matthews kind of snookered him on that last one, got by him on the inside line as Medeiros maybe spun the tires a little bit. Here comes Matthews up the racetrack in 3 and 4. He'll let the 60 machine have it off of turn number 4. Great gentleman-like move there by Matthews in the 51.
Well, I was going to say, but it looks to me like he's just holding up Medeiros in that 60. So that's absolutely a smart move, actually, on the 51's part, because eventually that guy behind you that knows he's faster than you is going to get tired of waiting on him. He's going to give you the chrome horn.
Absolutely, and we've already seen what the chrome horn does here
Yes,
tonight. The car is very light in the turns here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. Not a lot of banking in the turns, so you don't really want to get bumped out of the way if you can prevent it any yourself. We'll see if Medeiros is able to close in on Joe Schaefer Jr. over these next couple of laps. Closing in, though, John, will be 52 laps to go this time. Closing in on that 50 lap to go mark. I think it's about go time for a lot of these drivers in the field. And if you're mired outside the top 5, you better start working your way towards the top 5 now, or you may not be finishing inside the top 5 at the end of this race.
Absolutely, Ben. And I'm beginning to wonder if anybody's got anything for Schaefer Jr. I'm watching this guy pull away from these people and behind him, these drivers behind him, like he's, like they're sitting still, because we're 89 laps into this race. He's got the same set of tires he started with, and he is still turning some really good fast laps out there. So I'm just wondering if anybody's got anything for him. I mean, I thought maybe Medeiros did, but he's starting to lose a little bit of ground there. The 51 still has that damage on the left front. I think that's got a lot to do with why he's not up there fighting for that lead anymore.
Could be on board there with Keith Medeiros as he tries to chase down Joe Schaefer Jr. down the front straightaway. It was 6.5 tenths the last time by, and he is trying his best to close in. Or, John, he might be saving until lap 100. A lot of the local guys I know, if it's a 150 lap race, they don't even begin to race until lap 100 just because they're in tire conservation mode. He closes in a little bit more that time, so tick by tick as Medeiros closing in on Schaefer. I think Medeiros just may be saving a little bit here and waiting to push a little bit later in this race as the caution going to fly for the 8th time tonight here at Myrtle Beach Speedway, and it's for a big one down in turn number 3 and 4. The 77 of Ryan Doucette involved, and looks like Tim Bills in the 37 also in it. And that started way off of turn 2 and kind of came to a head in 3 and 4.
Yeah, it looks like a couple of guys fighting for some real estate there, and I don't speculate on what happened to 37 there, but it looked to me like he had it saved, and then all of a sudden veered to the right. So that's that, I guess, right?
Absolutely, and these cars react very strange, John, when you have to save them like that. He gets down in the dirty stuff on the bottom side of the racetrack, maybe let the tires up and kind of just nowhere but into the 77 to go. Nonetheless, putting us under caution for the 8th time here tonight, the 1-3 Designs caution period. And Doucette getting some hang time there as he contacted the wall, and he's down in the pits. That may be the end of his race. Nonetheless, though, we're under the 50 lap to go mark. We'll restart this thing probably with about 42 or so laps to go. And if I'm Keith Medeiros, I am thinking to myself, I have got to nail this restart and really put the pressure on Schaefer, because if we get 3-4 more cautions, John, in this race, let's hope we don't. Let's hope we go to green till the finish. But just in case we do, it's going to be hard to pass that 6 in these short runs. We've already seen that Medeiros maybe not be the best on short runs, but in the long runs, he starts inching and inching closer to Schaefer. So if I'm Medeiros, I'm hoping for a long run. If I'm not going to get a long run, I'm going to try and get by the 6 as soon as possible.
If I'm Medeiros, here's what's going through my head. I already know that I can spin my tires if I ain't careful on this restart, right? I also already know where the box is, where the green flag is going to fly. He's been up front enough right next to Schaefer Jr. in that 8 car to know, I'm sorry, 6 car, to know where that restart box is. I'm going to lag back a little bit on this restart. I'm going to heat my tires up really good, but I'm going to lag back a little bit. And right about the time that green flag flies, I'm easing into my gas and trying to get a little bit of a jump on the leader. That's me, though. I mean, you know, he can pull it off if he's good at it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. If you're wanting to try and time the restart perfectly yourself, head over to iRacingIFlag.com. You'll be notified whenever that green light comes on. Get yourself an iRacing iFlag on iRacing iFlag digital pit box to help with strategy all throughout your league.
I gotta
race.
say, Ben, that gets hands down the best segue award in Sim Broadcasting Network history, right there. Best segue ever.
Pretty good at my job, John.
I will wholeheartedly 1,000% agree with that, sir. That was beautiful. Let's get back to racing.
Actually, let's be quiet again, John. We had so much fun with the first Turn It
Yes.
Up. Let's do it again here at Myrtle Beach. Morgan with a wild moment on the back straightaway there, John, up and into the wall, sideways, and had 3 handfuls of wheel down into turn number 3, but saves that machine somehow, and that allows Challoner to make the pounce on that 112, but Morgan not going to give up as they're going to go at it for that 4th spot down the front stretch.
And I'll tell you what, back up front, Ben, guess who was all over the back bumper of Joe Schaefer Jr.? Got that 60 car up there, and he's caught him. Now, the question is, can he get around him?
We'll see if he can work on that 6th machine and make his way to the lead as we close in past the 100 lap mark of this race. Now just 38 laps to go. Coming back to the flag this time by a couple laps ago. Challoner and Morgan made a little bit of contact down in turn number 1 and 2. Close call there. Everybody kept it straight. Morgan only loses that 1 position. He falls back to 5th. Challoner, last week's winner, who started 10th in this race, is up to 4th. And look at the line he's starting to take here, John, late in this race. High in 1, low out of 2 for that number 78.
You're right. Challoner's got a very interesting line right there, and he seems to be making some really good ground up on the 51 car. Ryan Matthews doing that line. In the meantime, it looks like the 112 has his hands full still back there. I'm not sure if he got on the turtles or not there, but it looked like he washed up a little bit in 1 and 2. But I tell you what, this fight up front starting to shape up. I just don't know if Medeiros has enough to get around Schaefer, to be honest with you.
Absolutely, and Medeiros really enters low down in 1 and 2. One of the lowest lines I see down on that end of the racetrack, and I think that's really affecting his speed on corner exit down the back straightaway. In 3 and 4, you see he's got a great arc into the corner, but he's sideways off turn 4, really starting to push that car to its limits as we close in on now 30 laps to go. Laps are ticking away quick, and for Joe Schaefer Jr., the invert, as we're on board with your leader, the invert kind of played in his hand tonight. He qualified 9th. That put him on the pole for the start, and he has led since the drop of the green flag. And if things keep up the way they are, he may be looking for a checkered flag here tonight at Myrtle Beach.
Well, I'll tell you what, Medeiros, I think he was confused for a second there. He thought he was on a dirt track the way he come out of 3 and 4 a minute ago, but he didn't even get out of the gas, I don't think. I think he just stayed in it and saved it. But that may have burned his tires up on Ben. As we both know, when you get loose like that and you start that 4-wheel drift, it heats those tires up even more than they already are, and it just really ruins your run.
Heats them up, and now we're under caution again here at Myrtle Beach, and it's another incident involving the 17 of A.J. Rogers on the back straightaway. He and Tim Bills make contact, putting us under caution for, I do believe, the 9th time tonight in the 1-3 Designs caution period here in the Dreamer Racing Super Series.
Oh, that was a hard hit.
Yeah, big hit to the inside wall for the 17. So there we go. Caution again here. And man, the only person this is benefiting, I think, is Joe Schaefer Jr. in that 6. And, you know, though, to be brutally honest, John, it may have saved the 60 there too. That'll give him a chance to cool the tires down and maybe make another run at that 6 here in the final 30 laps. Absolutely
right, Ben. And I think you're right, though. I think Schaefer, he's in the catbird seat right now. He really is. But, you know, that caution was an unfortunate incident. It looks like 17 got a little bit loose there and was trying to save it and just came down across the nose of 37. But back up front, back to what we're talking about, I don't know, man. This Joe Schaefer fella, he's awfully fast.
Awfully fast indeed. As you know, we were talking about the invert, John. 9-car invert. He qualifies 9th, and as a driver here, he's, you know, it's qualifying 9th. I'm like, man, I don't know how I'm going to get through the field. And then the dice roll is a 9, and then you know you're in prime position to maybe just kind of hold your own and make your car a little bit wider than it needs to be. But really and truly, nobody has challenged him except for on the restarts. Medeiros has been close every once and again, but all night long, Schaefer has just had a great lead out in front of this field.
Absolutely, and now with apparently race control deciding that they're going to go to single file starts, that plays all the way into Joe Schaefer's hands. I mean, all he has to do is not spin his tires on this restart and stay smooth and strong like he has been, and he doesn't have to worry about it because, I mean, single file restarts they're no fun. They really aren't.
No fun if you're, you know, from 4th on back because you've been moved back a couple of rows. But the cautions tonight have really race control no other choice but to put these guys in single file on high and kind of hope for the best as we try and finish this one out under green. It'll be Joe Schaefer Jr. leading us back to the green flag, and for the first time tonight, Medeiros, who I think will be behind the 6 on this restart, so we'll see how well he adapts to that as we turn the lights off and get ready to close out this 1-3 Designs caution period.
I am really hoping we see green all the way, Ben, because, you know, it'll give us, 25 laps, I guess, 24, 25 laps under green. I think that's when we'll really start to see Medeiros kick it in high gear.
So we'll see what happens. Here's a pace car heads to pit road. They stack them up. Well, I was going to say 2 by 2, but it's 1 by 1 now as the field in control, or Schaefer in control of the field. He's back in the gas. We're back underway, and a great restart for Schaefer.
The games people play, man. He totally snookered him on that one. He kind of faked like he was going, then he got out of the gas and he went, and that just really shook up everybody behind him. You know, gave him a huge gap there between Medeiros. But what it did was stack everybody up from Medeiros on back. So now Medeiros has his hands full and a mirror full of that 51 car, Ryan Matthews, who, you know, we were talking about him earlier. He still has a little left front damage, but it's not stopping him there a bit.
Not slowing him down in the least bit as he holds on to that final podium position. He's got Challoner on his rear bumper as well. Last week's winner at Iowa looking to maybe play a little havoc in the podium runners so far in this race. He qualified 2nd tonight, John. So that 788 does have some speed, and he's trying to show that as he's trying to make his way up to a podium position off turn 4. Last time by at the line, it was 4/10 on the dot for the lead. Schaefer back to Medeiros that time. He opens it up to 4.43. So I don't know what's going to happen here in these final now 23 laps at Myrtle Beach Speedway. It is getting down to go time, and if you're Medeiros, it's you got to start closing that gap instead of opening it up.
Which is a little easier said than done at this point in the race. I mean, they basically have no tire left on these cars, I'm sure. Real slick out there. So I think what he really needs to do, Ben, is you touched on this earlier. He needs to change his lineup a little bit. He's losing a lot of speed center off to the leader, Joe Schaefer, there, just from going in so low. And as I say that, look at that, he pulls up on the bumper of him, but he's losing speed somewhere, so he needs to analyze his line a little bit. He's got 20 laps to do it and try to figure something out on how to catch that leader.
Looks like he closed in a little that lap. He tags the wall there on the front straightaway, though. He does close in about a half a tenth. Closing in more down in 1 and 2. Maybe now is go time for the 60. We're closing in on 20 laps to go here at Myrtle Beach Speedway in race number 2 in the SARA Dreamer Racing Super Series. Off turn 4, Medeiros trying to close in on Joe Schaefer's lead, who has been dominant all night long. He's led 121 of the 121 laps.
Well, Medeiros got on the turtles there in turn 1 and 2 and got loose, and then up in front of him, Schaefer got into the wall on the outside coming down the backstretch. And we got a lot of excitement going on up front, Ben, but it didn't change the complex of this race at all. Schaefer still has the lead. Medeiros is still trying to chase him down in second spot there, and we still have Matthews lurking back there in third with Challoner in fourth. Yep. I am so sorry. I slaughtered his bad name.
Medeiros, though, lost some time to Schaefer and continues to do so down the front straightaway. 5.5 tenths back to the 60 now from the lead, and he is not gaining any time now. He's losing time very quickly. 18-second laps they're turning here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. That means we're going to be done with this race in just a couple of minutes as we take 17 to go there at the line.
And I tell you what, Medeiros is the only car I've seen tonight to get into the dang wall coming off a 4 and speed up when he does it. That last lap by, he slid up against the wall a little bit there and actually gained ground on Schaefer going down into 1.
Medeiros has closed back in on the 6 of Schaefer, but can he get there in time to do anything with the number 6? It'll be 15 laps to go this time by. This race is in the final stages. Medeiros really good down in 3 and 4 as he closes in more on that 6, but man, it seems like he catches him 1 second, John, and the 6 going to pull out the other.
I'm telling you, I'm watching this, and it's like he gets so close to him, and then he just loses so much ground to him. He really cut it close that time coming through 3 and 4. Got down real close to the inside wall like you were talking about earlier. I believe we were talking about Matthews might have done that earlier. And look at this. Boy, look at that ground he makes up right there in 1 and 2, Ben. He's really giving it everything he's got. He is squeezing everything out of that car that he can, trying to catch Schaefer up there in the lead.
Absolutely. In most cases, it's kind of like a 1 step forward, 2 steps back for the 60 machine, but he is there now. Medeiros is in within 3/10 of a second, and he's sideways in 1 and 2. He chases it up the track. We talked about it. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Make it 3 steps back for Medeiros that time.
That has got to be so frustrating for a driver knowing that he's got the car that can get up there, but he's just, I wouldn't say he's overdriving it, Ben, but he's getting everything he can out of that car and needs just a smidge more to try and get up there and possibly put the bumper to that 6 car and take that lead away.
I think that may have sealed the deal for Schaefer. He's going to have 11 laps to try and close the gap back down, but you know, he really wasn't making up a lot of time each lap. He was making up time. He may have had a chance to make it to him without the mistake. We're just going to have to keep an eye on him. Now it's 10 to go at the line this time. 10 more circuits around Myrtle Beach Speedway for Joe Schaefer. He's led every lap so far tonight. He's just got to lead that one important one, lap number 140, and he'll take home the checkered flag. He's got 9 more laps at the line this time by.
And I can't believe Medeiros is still pulling up on him, I should say. That time by, last time by it was 0.6. This time it's 0.5, so he shaved a 10th off that lead of Joe Schaefer. But I don't know, Ben. I think I'm with you on this. I just don't think he has enough time left.
I think he's going to run out of time. 8 to go for Schaefer this time by, and it's turned into one of those signature short track runs to the finish. As Schaefer, you know, the dominant guy all race long, but Medeiros, one of the cool, calm, collected drivers, worked his way through the field, started 7th and is up to 2nd, doing everything he can to try and run down the 6 machine, but I just don't think he's going to get there. 7 to go for Schaefer this time.
7 to go for Schaefer as he comes down through 1 and 2. Not one last time, 7 more times, but we're watching that fight, Ben, and I think he's pretty much got it wrapped up. It's his race to lose now. Behind him, we had a good fight going for 4th and 5th back there between the 78 and the 66 there. But that's kind of, I'm not the 78 and 66, the 66 excuse me, and the 112 of Devin Morgan. They've kind of calmed down. Looks like Devin just got to the wall a little bit there, but yeah, we're coming down to 5 to go here this time by, and I think Schaefer's got this thing wrapped up, Ben.
5 laps to go, 5/10 of a second. Schaefer though up the track in 1 and 2 a little bit that time. It looks like he finds a little grip up in the middle groove and opens his lead up a little bit more down into turn number 3. 4 to go now for Joe Schaefer Jr. What a dominant run for the 6 machine.
Looks like he's led, I guess you said it, every lap, hasn't he? I mean, they had no pit stops to worry about, so he hasn't lost the lead one time this race. So, wow, that's a dominant performance indeed. I tell you what, that's amazing to me. In the meantime, it looks like we're single file all the way back to about 7th or 8th, Ben.
Not a lot of racing going on here in the final portion of this one. The first battle you have to look at would be the 13 of Roush and the 75 of Kelly. Boy, both these drivers have an up and down race. Kelly's been involved in a couple cautions, and Roush has made his way from 26th up to 7th. So some great comebacks for both of those drivers. And then you have Krikorian in the 66 trying to make his way around the outside of Chandler. That would be for the 4th spot, but off turn number 4 up front, Joe Schaefer Jr. going to get the white flag. Final lap here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. Medeiros is closing in, but I don't think he's going to get there in time. Joe Schaefer Jr. comes into the night, qualifies 9th, catches the invert perfectly, puts him on the pole. He takes the green flag and leads every lap between that point and now. Joe Schaefer wins race number 2 in the Dreamer Racing Super Series.
And Keith Medeiros brings it home 2nd, Ryan Matthews 3rd, Christian Challoner 4th, David Krikorian, rounds out your top 5.
A great race. We had our hands full with the cautions there midpoint, John, but man, oh man, what a show these guys put on. Joe Schaefer Jr. victorious here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. We'll talk to him and the rest of the podium finishers right after this. We're going to go corner to corner so you can watch the burnout by the 6 machine, or maybe he'll just pull it in the victory lane. A nice, simple still celebration there. Still saving him. Yeah, he's going to run that set next week too.
That's
on a budget.
Man. Saving some money.
We'll be back though to catch up with podium finishers right after this.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
All right, Watson, let's analyze the chemicals in this cigarette smoke. Cadmium?
Check.
Formaldehyde?
Check.
Arsenic?
Sir, isn't arsenic what they used in rat poison?
Yeah, isn't arsenic what they use in rat poison?
Oh, what was I thinking, sir? It's not like we're gonna smoke them.
Neither will the rats.
Tobacco is no joke. Cigarette smoke has over 7,000 chemicals. Learn more at thefactsnow.com.
Welcome back to Myrtle Beach Speedway and race number 2 just coming to a close here in the SARA Dreamer Racing Super Series. And John Mushton has made his way down on the pit road, and he's caught up with the driver who had a crazy night himself there in the 51, an up and down night, but comes out with a solid 3rd place finish. What's he got to say about tonight, John?
That's right. I'm standing here next to the 51 Toyota Camry with Ryan Matthews as the driver. Ryan, man, you got some early damage on that left front, and me and Ben were speculating, was that the wall or them rock they got down there in 1 and 2 that you were getting pretty close to?
Yeah, I was passing Kyle Souza, and I clipped them rumble strips just at the wrong part, and it gave me a bunch of left front damage. I really do think that it affected my car the whole race. Definitely didn't have the speed that Joe or Keith had, but I really want to say that that messed my car up the most tonight.
And that was going to be my next question. Did it affect your car? I kind of speculated it did when we were talking about it when I first noticed it. It had to make it a little bit tighter on you. But still, man, a third place run is nothing to shake a stick at. Do you have anybody you want to thank for your third place run tonight?
Yeah, I got to thank Double F Logistics, S&M Auto Service, Sim Marketing Solutions, Sim Design Concepts, Zero Gravity Racing, Luke Matthews Racing, and that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Ryan. Again, great run tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next time, bud.
Thanks, man.
And that was our third place driver. I'm going to see if I can make my way down here to our second place runner-up, Keith Medeiros.
So as John does that, we'll kind of recap Medeiros' night. He started 7th, worked his way through the field, and I just don't think the cautions were helping that 6 machine out. We'll find out for sure when John talks to him. John?
I have caught up with Keith in that number 60 Toyota Camry. It was fast tonight, Keith, and to be honest with you, Ben and I were speculating under all the many cautions we had that I think the cautions hurt you the most tonight, man. I think if they'd have probably gone green the long run, you might have had a little bit of a chance to get past our winner there, Joe Schaefer. What do you think?
Yeah, man, those cautions, dude, those definitely had a big factor in it. I think the first half of the race, the car rotated really well. I was able to pass cars on the bottom, had killer restarts, and then after about halfway, once I got the second, all those cautions, the car just get tighter and tighter, and I really couldn't do much. I don't know if it was just the way the track changed and we weren't putting enough rubber in. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, we were really impressed with your run tonight. Ben and I both commented many times on how strong you looked out there, and I'm going to be flat out honest with you. I don't think I've ever seen anybody squeeze as much out of a super late model in the last half of races I saw you do tonight, man. Congratulations on that second place finish. Do you have anybody you want to thank for your second place finish tonight?
Thank you so much, man. Yeah, I want to thank the whole Front Stretch Mafia team. Colin, Michael, Brandon, Adam all worked good on this setup we had all week, and especially want to have a thanks to Ryan Matthews. He really cut me a lot of breaks during all his restarts. He was working with me a lot. If it wasn't for him, I probably would have got freight trained and, could have been stuck in a bad spot, but he worked with me good.
Well, that sounds like a winner to me. Maybe you'll get it next week when we see you next time, I should say. Good luck and congratulations again on your second place finish there, Keith.
Thank you, guys. You do a killer job.
Thank you very much for that. That was our second place runner, Keith Medeiros. Ben, I think you're probably going to catch our Victory Lane interview down there, huh?
Absolutely. Caught up with Joe Schaefer Jr. as, boy, oh boy, Joe, what an exciting race. You catch the invert right, and from that point on, I think your night went up as you start on the pole and you lead every lap on your way to victory. Here tonight at Myrtle Beach Speedway in the Hub, used some Racing Giveaways 140. Talk about the cautions tonight. Did it hurt or help that 6 machine?
Well, I think it ended up helping. But first, I gotta say, Matt was giving me a bunch of stuff before the race, because I'm always complaining about never hitting an invert, and finally today I got it. So it does feel a little hollow because I do think Keith was a hair faster, but it's tough to pass, and all those cautions, having the benefit of starting on the pole, allowed me to kind of take off and then save my tires. So especially on the initial start, I got a huge jump on the field, and I was able to back it way off. And I think going easy on the tires for the first 15 laps, and then on the subsequent cautions after that, I was not firing off as hard. I mean, some of those cautions were, so those restarts were a little tight. I think I was starting to time my jumps a little bit, so he was making it tight going into one. But I think getting on the restarts when I was able to get ahead, backing it off and taking it easy on entry especially, was able to save the right front for the end of the race.
Absolutely. That's a great way to start the season off here in the Dreamer Racing Super Series. Third last week, a win tonight. Feeling pretty confident about this season. Obviously, you'll probably be pretty close, if not head out of Myrtle Beach tonight with the championship lead. Talk about the beginning part of the season and how big of a boost of momentum it is to have some great runs to open up the season.
Yeah, it's huge. We had a down season last season. Just the car was changing, and I think we've been missing it every week, and it's tough to pass. And this week or this season, last week at Iowa, and this week, a lot of guys on the posse, guys smarter than me, JT and Ty Majeski, Ty Spearman, and everybody. We've got something working just in time for the car to change, the next iRacing build. But 2 top 3 finishes and 2 weeks into the season, it definitely boosts confidence and kind of amps up my excitement for the rest of the season.
Good deal. We look forward to seeing you back at USA International Speedway next Thursday night. We congratulate you on your win tonight. Anybody, I know you've thanked quite a few guys already. Did you miss anybody that you want to thank for your victory here tonight at Myrtle Beach?
Yeah, just the posse overall. Drew Krybeck for being in my ear tonight, giving me lap countdowns, stuff like that. And you guys for putting on the broadcast.
Thanks very much, Joe, and look forward to seeing you next week. And maybe we'll talk to you again on the podium.
Hey, fingers crossed.
There you have it. Joe Schaefer starting the year out with a handful of or a couple podiums so far tonight. Third last week, a win tonight. And John, we head down to Florida next Thursday night at USA International Speedway for the Midwest Power Source 119. That is going to be a fun race there, a sunset race. So we start, with a little bit of daylight still and head into the darkness. That's going to be fun.
Absolutely. I love this dynamic lighting and weather that iRacing finally came out with. But, my friend, I don't know about you, but I love coming to Myrtle Beach. I love watching these guys run around this track. I don't care what vehicle it is, really. I haven't seen cup cars around this track yet. Boy, that'd be fun to watch.
That certainly would be. And as we get set to head out of tonight, let's take a look at those final finishing results from Myrtle Beach. Joe Schaefer Jr. comes home with the win. Keith Medeiros second. Third, Ryan Matthews. Christian Challoner comes home fourth. David Krikorian fifth. Sixth to Devin Morgan. Samuel Rouse seventh. Cody Kelly eighth. And Dallas Pataska, your pole winner, comes home ninth. Justin LeDuc 10th. And the rest of the field going to scroll across your screen there. But man, oh man, John, just a fun race, a great race. We did have our fair share of cautions, but in the long run, it did not take away from any racing tonight from Myrtle Beach Speedway. We still got a great show and still looking forward to heading down to USA International Speedway next week.
Absolutely. Great racing tonight. I mean, yeah, there were a lot of cautions, but like you said, it really did not detract from the racing we saw on track. And, I mean, look at the schedule these guys got coming up, Ben. USA next week, South Boston, Irwindale, the Milwaukee Mile, Bristol. That's going to be a fun one to watch. So you folks out there that tuned in tonight, make sure you get the schedule down yourself. Head over to RaceSARA.com and check out the schedule these guys have. Tune in here at the Sim Racing Network. And, Ben, I mean, you can't really look for entertainment better than this. These guys on these tracks coming up.
Oh, it's going to be fun, and it'll all be live right here on the Sim Racing Network. We thank you for tuning in tonight. We look forward to seeing you back next Thursday here with SARA, and you can check out our schedule over at thesimracingnetwork.com. Give us a like on Facebook and stay up to date with whenever we go live. John, those we head out of South Carolina tonight. Any final thoughts from the Hub U Sim Racing Giveaways 140?
Well, I just want to thank you guys for letting me be a part of this tonight. Our other announcer, Mitch, was out whooping butt in the NIS Open, from what I understand, so I was invited in here tonight. I really appreciate it. Outstanding job by Aaron back there in the production van getting us these pictures tonight. These guys put on one hell of a show. I was very entertained, had a great time watching this, and I hope that I can do this again.
We look forward to having you back next Thursday, John. We'll go ahead and put you down on the tab.
Hell yeah. And I'll bring the beer, you bring the barbecue. How's that sound?
There you go. Sounds perfect to me. That'll do it for us tonight, though. Congratulations to Joe Schaefer Jr. on his victory tonight. Thanks to the Hub Used Sim Racing Giveaways. Check them out on Facebook, sponsor of the race tonight. Thanks to SARA and Dreamer Racing for sponsoring the Super Series here at SARA. But that'll do it for Aaron Mushton. For John Mushton, I am Ben Kilcrease saying good night from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.